The Twin Valley Locker Room Show brings you inside Clay Center Tiger debates as we are joined today by three of the debate team from the Clay Center Community High School. We have Hunter Squires with us. Maddie Blackburn, Precious Smith joins us, and we're going to talk debate. I am not going to bring up an argument because I'd be afraid to do that with these three, obviously, but I do want to talk about the program itself. Precious, I know as a senior, I'll start with you and kind of talk about what got you into being interested in debate, maybe what you think it could do for your future by being in this program.
Well, I started my debate my freshman year, and debate had just gotten back into the high school my freshman year. And when I started, I was like, maybe I'll be a lawyer when I grow up. I'm not doing that. But it's definitely helped with skills like talking to crowds, and it helps you put yourself out there. And it's definitely helped my grades in other classes. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, Maddie, is there something that drew you to debate? I know you're into forensics, and you've obviously got a connection in the program at the front desk.
Yeah.
What did draw you in?
Well, my mom's a teacher, obviously that, and then I just really, I hang out with Precious when I was a freshman, and Olivia, and all of, the really cool high schoolers, and I thought I saw how, amazing they are, and I was like, hey, I want to be like that when I grow up, so,
cool.
Yeah.
Good role models to follow, absolutely. Hunter, for you, is there something in particular that debate does that you thought, man, that's something I really need to do, want to do?
Well, when Precious and Kareem did a thing at the middle school to show us what debate was, I saw that and I thought that it was pretty interesting there, and I really enjoyed watching it, and I felt like that'd be something I would want to do. So now here I am.
Yeah, neat outreach program then from the debate to the middle schoolers to give a chance. So now that you're into it, break down the different type of competitions you guys have when debate competitions roll around.
Well, for the first semester during actual debate season, it's policy debate, which is basically and we put this law in place or not, and that's what you argue over. But during forensic season, there's different types. Recently, me and Maddie competed in big question debate, which is a moral question. It was, are animals different than humans? And you had to answer that, and there's all sorts of different kinds.
Very cool. You guys tried to make it to the state championships. Is that the one you were competing in?
During debate season, policy debate, the first one I talked about, that's the one where me and Maddie, we went 3-3 in regionals, I think, and then Precious and Olivia went 4-2. Yeah, they went 4-2 in regionals, but we didn't end up getting to the state level there.
But you guys were really, really close. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, for our freshman team, we did really well.
That's awesome. Give me a topic that has come up that you've had to debate that was very, very challenging for you.
I don't know. The big question was definitely more difficult, I think, just because it was a moral question, how you felt about the subject. So, that's probably the most difficult, I would say.
Is there one that stands out that you thought was fun? It was kind of easy for you?
Not really. I think all of them, have their ups and downs, but they're about the same, I would say.
As far as research for the debate question that you're going to go in and work on, how do you get started on that? When do you find out before a competition what the debate will be, or do you find out?
For debate during debate season, we find out usually around in the summer, and you can start researching. And I know I wrote my own case, and so I started doing research on that. And then we get this big book, and we go through that, and we take everything from that, and we use that, and then when we go to tournaments, we find out more about what people are doing, and so we find evidence on that as well.
Do you find at all that the debate you have learned to do in competitions works with your friends at all?
A little bit, but not really. For me, it's more of just personal thing that doesn't cross over for me.
Right. As far as watching debates on television, like in the political world, this is a great background for politicians being in debate programs. Do you ever watch now and kind of have a better understanding of why the moderator's there and how the questions are done?
Yes, definitely. Since I've been in debate, I've definitely seen the difference as to who's really winning the argument there, instead of who just kind of is working around the question.
Is it ever frustrating? It's probably a loaded question because I think it probably is, but with judges and people telling you who wins debates, Do you ever come out of it going, wait a minute, I didn't think it was like that at all?
Yeah, there's like definitely examples of that. Like, I'll give an example. One time a judge said, I like basketball, so that's why the other team won. And it was just like, okay, that's cool, because you have to respect their decision because, they're spending their time to do it. But it is frustrating sometimes.
I can imagine. Name maybe the most fun you've had during a debate. Is there one that stands out where you won, you lost, it was just funny, whatever the case may be?
My very first year, the topic was oceans, and this team came in with a whole case about astronauts. And so I didn't have much evidence on it, but we won because it wasn't topical.
Yeah, oceans, okay, yeah, sure. I know that you were talking about not becoming a lawyer, although at one time you thought maybe. Tell the viewers what your plans are. You've got some exciting stuff planned out.
Yes. I start school in August, and I've been accepted to the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. And so this summer I'll be moving to New York City, and I'll be going to school there and following my dreams.
How exciting, yet I'm guessing a little bit nerve-wracking. What will you, or do you know what you will specialty in? Will you go in a certain department, or is it just really getting your feet wet and then figuring it out?
It's just kind of getting my feet wet. I know I have classes on like acting and improv, and then I have dance classes and singing classes as well.
Very cool, very cool. Good luck with everything. It's exciting to hear. For you guys, is this something you're going to continue to work at?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Enjoyed it enough and looking forward to coming back and being a part of the program. You too, Hunter?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it probably all 4 years if I can.
Very good, very good. Well, we appreciate you guys taking some time to talk with us. Good luck to you guys in the future of debate, and Precious, again, good luck in New York. The Twin Valley Locker Room Show with the Tiger Debate Team. Back again with the Twin Valley Locker Room Show, and we've been talking a little drama and forensics and debate with the programs here at the high school, and we're joined now by the one behind, nudging everybody in those directions, behind the scenes. We have Mrs. Blackburn with us, and it's been cool to have the students come and talk about the program. First off, the excitement they have about the program, I think, is really, really cool. Tell the viewers kind of your background getting here and bringing some of these things up and also back into the school, because some of them haven't been around for a while.
Well, I did speech and debate in high school, just like a lot of people did. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I was kind of shy, believe it or not. Now I'm like 97% extrovert, but back then I had trouble putting my thoughts into words, and it revolutionized the way I dealt with the world. And so when I went to college, I knew that was something I wanted to do to help students get what I got out of it. So that's kind of why I became a coach. I spent a couple years coaching at Junction City and a couple years coaching at Riley County, and then took some time off because my daughter was little. And I still kind of have this strange desire to work with young people. So I signed up to be a coach for Scholars Bowl. And at that point, Matt Weller was the assistant activities director up here. Not assistant, the activities director. And he saw my resume and went, huh. And so then they approached me to see if I'd be interested in doing this. So I applied, and that's how that has happened.
Did you wonder if it would be a daunting task to begin with? And secondly, was it more or less daunting once you got into the role?
At first, I was really excited because I thought I don't have to deal with taking over from someone else who was beloved or something like that. I can start from the beginning. Once I started in it, I realized it's a lot harder to start from scratch than I thought, that I really depended on those kids who have been in program for a while, that they could help me get everybody else going on things. And for instance, in debate, having them work with the kids on stock issues and things like that, I was on my own. And so that was more daunting than I expected it to be. But we now are 4 years into the program, and we have that system, that hierarchy built up, which is really important, which is why I love that you're coming out and interviewing these kids, because they have invested in this program and they feel very passionately about it. So that helps also build excitement in the future.
Sure. I know when I was in high school, and we were sharing before coming on the air, that I was in forensics. At the time, it wasn't really the cool thing to do. I don't think that stigma's out there anymore.
Not as
Would you
much.
agree?
Not as much. I mean, there's still some kids that are like, "You're doing what?" But that's going to happen with any teenagers. It's just the case. I feel like it really gives kids a home that don't have a home someplace else. It's a niche, a place for them to say, "This is where I belong." And in fact, I have a lot of kids who come and say, "This is my home away from home. This is where I feel safe, either on the stage or in my classroom." So it's really kind of special.
Talk about the productions you've had. Footloose was a major production to
It's huge.
undertake. The time of years around football, and then you had some people that were in sports and other sports that were on stage with you, but you guys pieced it all together and it came off smashingly. Tell everybody about it.
Well, first I should say that neither Kara nor I had ever done a musical before we started with Brigadoon 3 years ago. And so I'd been in musicals before. I'd helped backstage with musicals, but I'd never done one myself. And so we kind of have been learning along with the kids. But yeah, when we decided to do Footloose, we wanted to do something upbeat. We knew kind of kids we had in the program, and we knew we had some interest from those football guys to do something their senior year. And so we talked to all of them, and they auditioned, and it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, it was great. The forensics part of things, I'll switch gears a little bit. It's a lot of the same as far as drama, but it's condensed down into more individual or duet, or talk about getting how the students reacted to starting out, and then once they kind of find their niche, I think it gets excited for them.
Oh, yeah. In fact, they really get excited about getting the ballots on the way back to see what the judges had to say. And they're on my case. If I'm not checking ballots in tab, they're on my case. Go in there, see what the judge said. Well, how did I do? And I don't let them know their ranks. But I do let them know kind of, okay, the judge said they couldn't hear you on this part, or they said they didn't understand this cutting. How can we say that differently for the next round? But yeah, forensics is a lot more individual, and the kids get to be a lot more creative and make pieces their own. So it's not necessarily my vision for the piece, it's theirs. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes I need to come in and say, well, actually, I don't think it's about that theme. I think you need to focus on this theme, and kind of refocus them. But especially, like, for instance, I'll use Olivia as an example. When she started out as a sophomore, she picked a section of poetry, and she cut it from 4 different books that were this thick. And she will now tell you that was a terrible idea. And at the time, I told her, I don't think that's going to work real well. And now she's using that as an example to guide the other kids in the room and say, hey, pick a theme, don't pick a author. That works better.
It was interesting to hear Hunter and Maddie, who we interviewed today, talk about getting into the debate program, because it was Precious and a group that came to the middle school, Hunter said, and Maddie said she just thought it was the cool people to hang out with. She wanted to get involved. So that's neat to have mentors. It's good to have role models, and that leadership, I guess, that is filling your program out.
Yeah, it really does help. And I assign captains. I have 3 captains in forensics, and they're each in charge, quote unquote, in charge of a certain area. So for instance, one of them's in charge of helping kids with prose and poetry. One's in charge of helping kids with acting and helping them to mark up their texts. And how do they do that? And then another is in charge of listening to their speeches, making sure that their thesis actually lines up with the rest of the stuff they've written. So by the time they get to me for after school work, they shouldn't have huge issues that I have to fix. It's tweaking, it's finding that theme, finding that interpretation that they want to use. And so we get to do them. I get to focus on the artistic stuff because the grunt work is taken care of by the kids, the captains.
Very cool. You just wrapped up a murder mystery at Java Junkies, so we had talked about it coming up. You had a chance to have that this last week. And tell the viewers what's still to come this year for you guys.
Well, we're getting ready for A Doll's House. That's going to be in April. And it's a really exciting thing. I've directed it 2 times before. I directed a small section of it in college, and then I directed it at Riley County too. To have actors that I think can do that is exciting. And in addition to that, to talk to them about the important themes that are in it and say, okay, this theme may not actually fit well in the time period that we're living in the place we're living in, but what can we get the audience to garner from this conversation? How can we point them in that direction? Which is why some of the kids have been, well, they wrote scripts for modern couples, and it's kind of like When Harry Met Sally. There's going to be videos in between certain scenes where to kind of help focus the audience's attention on, okay, this is the part that you need to pay attention to. This is what applies to you. Because it's kind of hard to relate to a play that was written in the 1870s. So
It was interesting. I'll mention Olivia again, but we talked about it on one of the locker room shows we did, and I asked her how you decide on such a heavy production, and I asked her what something maybe you say often in the classroom, and I thought both kind of answered the question on this production. She said, "Mrs. Blackburn is always telling us that drama can change the world," and that play certainly did.
yes, it did. It absolutely did. And the door that shuts at the end of the play, they say, is the door that shut around the world, because it started getting banned in multiple places. Things that we take for granted now that women can do weren't allowed. And so that was really a huge spark that really lit everything up, basically, in the women's movement, clear back for suffrage and that kind of thing. Those issues, like I said, I can have a bank account. I'm allowed. But back then, that wasn't a thing. So what can we do now to make this relevant to our kids? And just that, it's just a lot of fun to have those kids have those conversations and to see how powerful theater is.
Very, very cool. Well, thanks for all the work you guys do. You do in particular, and I know your students do as well, but you're doing some great stuff here, and keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Again, Twin Valley Locker Room Show, today talking debate. We've talked forensics, drama, and debate here on the Locker Room Show.